Hey everyone, Once Bitten here with a battle report. So here's a game with my final list submission for Buckeye Battles with Beast Herds, playing against a Kingdom of Equitaine list. I've played against this opponent only one time before. He was playing a different army. He is relatively new to Kingdom of Equitaine. I mean, he's played it a few games, but he's relatively new to it. He's a great painter, and you'll notice in his models, some are he recently painted and some he bought already painted, and he hasn't stripped them yet. And it's funny because you can really tell the difference. Take a look at those things if you can. Yeah, so I've got a few practice games with this list after this, and then I'll go to Buckeye Battles and play 5 games, and then I think I'm going to pack the Beast Herds away for a while and pick up another army. Kingdom of Equitaine is at least on that list of possibilities because I just have a long history with Bretonnia back in Warhammer days, and it always speaks to me. But then again, of course, I'm always tempted to play one of the newer armies I have. So anyways, the list, starting on the right, he's got a trebuchet. The full list is in the description. He's got 12 Knights Aspirant. Those 5 Knight models are actually Yeoman Outriders, Fast Cav. To the left of them, he's got 3 Pegasus Knights. Behind him are more Yeoman Outriders. Then a unit of 12 Question Knights with 4 characters. For their kits, of course, you can see them in the description, but he's got a Battle Standard Bearer, a Spellcaster, and then, of course, 2 fighty characters. There's another unit of 12 Knights Aspirant, and then a trebuchet. So it's like really kind of a compact list, right? He doesn't have a whole lot. He's got 2 units of Fast Cav. He's got the Peg Knights, and then it's really just Trebs and Knights. So it seems to me that if he can get charges off, he will probably beat any solo unit I have, with only 1 or 2 exceptions. But if I'm able to chaff him up and countercharge with multiple units, I'm probably going to take care of these Knight units fairly easily. I am ambushing with a unit of Feral Hounds and 2 units of 20 Wildhorns. Here in the ruins on the far right, I've got a unit of Hounds because they will just vanguard out of those ruins. They're my first drop. I didn't know where my opponent was going to be. My scouting mongrels are up in the ruins. Those 2 little pieces of terrain are marking off an area. The area between them is all ruins. So there's a Chariot. That giant model I'm actually proxying for a Gortach. At the time of this game, I didn't have my model put together and painted yet. It now is. I've got 7 Minotaurs with full command. I dropped the Minotaur Warlord from my list. Behind him is a unit of 5 Gargoyles. Behind them, behind the hill, is a level 2 Lord of Shadow. I've got my second Gortach. Then I've got my unit of Wildhorns with my Beastlord and Battle Standard Bearer. So that unit, usually I consider them Night Killers. But, really, they're only, with halberds, they're only strength 5. So even, 2-up armor save goes to a 4-up. But the thing is, even if my opponent saves half of those and then saves a third of the remainder, these guys should do enough wounds. And Knight models are so expensive that they should be good counters to Knights. I've got my Centaur Chieftain behind the building, and then I've got another Chariot. So Vanguard looks like this. And I knew I was going to go first, and I didn't take a picture of it, but I did take a picture at the beginning after the Kingdom of Equitaine movement. So you can see on the left, I had vanguarded my Centaur Chieftain up, and then I marched him up, and I threw the Impaler at the Questing Knight unit, and the very first model I wounded, and he made his ward save. On my opponent's turn, he decided to charge his Pegasus Knights into my Feral Hounds, knowing he would beat them and then overrun into a Gortach, and that would bottle up my Minotaurs, the Gortach, and possibly other things. I don't know if I would have done that, because it seems like it's kind of an expensive unit to chaff me up when I'm so far away I can't charge anyway. It definitely slows me down, but he wasn't exactly marching towards me. So, I don't know if I agree with that necessarily. Not that it matters what I agree with. Let's see, this is on his Knights of the Quest unit. He got plus, I think it was +3 movement on those guys, or something like that. Some kind of buff that seemed important at the time. After combat, he easily kills the Feral Hounds. He overruns into a Gortach, and I'm not really worried about it. We go to Beast Herds turn 2. So Feral Hounds came on the board. I placed them to the left of this picture to where they can see the trebuchet. I have 20 Wildhorns that popped up behind his lines if you look in the top left. I really, really, really like the pressure they put on his unit. They can charge the rear of a Knight unit, and they're not going to do many wounds, but they're going to have so much combat res. The only thing that would really hurt him is if the Knights are able to turn around, and then, yeah, that might be tricky. Anyway, there's that. Mongrels charge the trebuchet on the right, so that's nice. I think even those mongrels can handle that. I went ahead and charged the Minotaurs and a Chariot into these Pegasus Knights. I think the Chariot took a wound from the dangerous train and had to go through. I think I did this mainly because I would rather kill those Peg Knights dead rather than just beat them in combat and have them rally and still be available as chaff. Plus, my units weren't going to do anything anyway. They're all kind of bottled up. I don't mind the bottling up too much because we're kind of together as a battle line. When all is said and done, the Minotaurs had to overrun, but they hit the rear of the Gortach. The everybody else is as you can see them. All right, so we go to now. I guess I should say I think the Gortach charged. My Gortach charged his Knight's Aspirant unit, which forced a terror test, and they were not within leadership or reroll on my last turn. So I think he needed a 7, and it's darn lucky that they didn't just run off the board, which is why my Gortach is kind of standing out there all by his lonesome. So during my magic phase, I got -3 movement to his Knight's Aspirant. They tried charging the Gortach, but with only movement 5, they failed the charge. So he took a unit of fast cav up in front of the Gortach to redirect him from getting a charge on his Knights. If you look in the top left, he pulled a fighty character out of his Knights of the Quest unit and parked him in front of my Wildhorns so that they cannot charge the rear of his Knight's Aspirant unit, who was exposed to a charge because he charged my Chariot and I fled. Yeah, so there's that failed charge. Yeah, I did that mainly just to force the terror test. I'm sorry, that's his failed charge. You know what's funny? At the time of this game, I just really wasn't worried about it. I figured he charges in and does some wounds, and I kill a bunch of him. I'm stubborn, and then over time, after the charge is over, he's not going to do many wounds to me, and I'm going to roll 6 to wound now and then and get my wounds back. But now when I do the math of it, I'm thinking, there's 12 guys in the unit that should be, they're frenzied, so I think the first rank gets extra attacks, so that's 13 plus 3, 16 attacks. If you hit 8, you really should do 5 or 6 wounds. And I can't believe that his average odds are, if he makes that charge, that he should pretty much kill my guy. Yeah, it just didn't seem like a threat. We go to Beast Herds turn 3. Let's see, my other unit of Wildhorns came on. My Feral Hounds charges Trebuchet in the corner. The big news, this unit, and I think I got the totem of plus the extra movement on these guys, they made just a long ball charge into my opponent's Knight unit. Now, I did it because I wasn't really worried about him charging me. If he charges me, it can be dangerous. My characters are vulnerable, but I don't care how many of my guys he kills. I'm going to be stubborn and then just start chopping him up. But me making the charge, yeah, I think that's all going to go in my favor. And it looks like I see a couple dead models in back. This looks like it's after combat, so it seems that he's killed a few wild Longhorns, and I was only able to sneak 2 wounds past on his guys. It also looks like his characters are all alive and my characters are all alive. So my guess is my Beastlord and his fighty character. I keep saying that because I don't know if it's. I got confused in the game which one is his general because my opponent was calling it the wrong way for a while, and it never mattered. But I just get confused with it. But we're in a challenge. It was kind of a big pillow fight. Meanwhile, over here, my Gortach charged the fast cav and overran. Had I rolled a little bit better, I could have hit his Knight unit, which would have been nice. I didn't. He's going to charge me, and that's fine. Everybody else moved up, as you can see. So we go to Kingdom of Equitaine turn 3. His Knight's Aspirant on the right charged my Gortach. I want to say his Knight's Aspirant on the left tried to charge my Gargoyles, I think, and I just fled. So you can see how they're set up to receive a flank charge. If you look on the left side of this picture, a flank charge for my ambushing Wildhorns on the left. So there's that. I only have 1 wound right now, and it's funny. I'm just not really worried about it. I did put the Blackwing Totem up on my guy on the last magic turn, so he is going to get to swing first, which hopefully will reduce some of the attacks at him. And you see my opponent lost some from dangerous terrain. After combat here, it's kind of the same thing. Looks like our characters are still around. We're still having a hard time getting through each other's toughness and armor saves. Meanwhile, the rank and file troops are just kind of chopping up the knights. And after combat, yeah, he didn't do too much. Did a couple wounds, I guess, and I think he may have done more. And I got some back by rolling sixes. Maybe I've got my original wound back by rolling a 6. But overall, now that I've won that, I'm confident I'm going to win in the long run. I did not charge hit this character on my turn because I wanted my Centaur Chieftain just to be able to throw that Impaler at him. I did, and he ward saved it, so he charged my unit, and you never know what's going to happen there. I'll be steadfast, but not with great leadership. We go to Beast Herd's turn 4. If you look at the left, my ambushing Wildhorn unit charged the flank of his Knight's Aspirant. And my Minotaurs are sitting there without anything to do. It's kind of funny. So I finally just reformed them to get around the Longhorn unit to go help out those Wildhorns should they need it. And I took a Chariot in to help the Gortach with this unit. I really just don't think I'm going to have a problem here. And my other Gortach was able to charge, and it's in the flank of this unit. So this unit's toast. I'm just going to just slaughter it, I think. Yeah, there's that. It's tough to get through his armor, but I've just got so much combat res that, you know, he won't be steadfast. He does get to count his ranks, but, you know, if nothing else, they should hold him up there for a while. And after combat, yeah, this just broke his back. So my general ended up taking a wound. I don't remember what I did to his general or whoever I was in a challenge with. Regardless, with all the wounds and all the static combat res, we got that unit down to, like, I think 3 models. And it broke, and we either ran it down or chased it off the table. I think my Gortach ran it down. Meanwhile, the Wildhorns are just kind of locked in combat with that other character. It looks like they did a wound to him, which I think is kind of funny. And that guy's about to get countercharged by just a whole lot of nastiness. And yeah, over here we actually do some wounds to him. We're winning combat. He's sticking around for now, but it's not going to last long. And if you look at the right, matter of fact, I don't think we even did the combat on the far right with the Chariot and the Gortach, because it didn't matter. We both knew that I was going to break them this turn or next turn, but in the long run it wasn't going to matter. The Minotaurs are set up to countercharge the Knight's Aspirant that are tied up with my Wildhorns, so they're not going to last. So he was one more round of combat, one more Beast Herd's turn, and Knights of Equitaine were going to be tabled, we both thought. So we just went ahead and called it there. So that was a big, huge win for the Beast Herds. I need to think a little bit more about Knight's Aspirant charging Gortach. I think I had some false confidence here. Like, I shouldn't have been as confident as I was about the Gortach just being able to take that big Knight charge. You never know. But I love how the Beast Herds play, how they just kind of pop up all around you. And these units, with few exceptions, the individual units don't necessarily do a ton, but there's just so many of them. I can flee, I can chaff them up, lock them down, and then countercharge with stuff. And when that plan happens, it works very nicely. And I'd like to point out that the Minotaurs never, with the exception of helping out with the Pegasus Knights, they never really contributed to any of the big combats here. And they, even with all that hitting power, they just weren't needed. So it's not always with this list about strength as much about just swarming over them. Anyway, that's it for here. Thank you so much for watching the video. I truly hope you enjoyed it. As you know, YouTube has a variety of functions you can use to interact with videos such as this. You can like or comment on the video, you can favorite it, you can share it, and of course you can subscribe to the channel. And I encourage you to do any or all of those things as a way of interacting between viewer and producer. As always, I appreciate your patronage on the channel and wish you all the best.